said, look at this book. And the guy, the formulator, the chemist said, hey, I can make it even better than what I feel like is in here. And his work was done within nitric oxide, which is what Enduro, Yeti, and Ignite create through amino acids like arginine and citrulline. And when combined in the right amounts, it would prolong the production of nitric oxide in the body. And that's what my dad needed. So we put him on the product, and within a few days, he started feeling some tingling sensation in his fingers and toes. He was always rubbing his hands, and his toenails were dead, and just didn't have the right circulation. And it started to improve. And his cardiologist had told him he'll have open heart surgery within about 5 years. My dad, unfortunately, he passed away a couple years ago, but it had nothing to do with his heart. But they resuscitated him, and they said his heart's incredibly strong. He never had to have the open heart surgery. His cardiologist just told him, keep taking Enduro, keep taking what your son's giving you. And so that's how I got into supplementation.
I was like, well, if I throw a mic on, then I can help others the way that these people have all helped me.
Born in the heart of the Pennsylvania deer camp, with the help of experts, friends, and local legends, we bring you valuable knowledge and powerful stories for your hunting adventures. Welcome to the East Meets West Hunt Podcast with your host, Beau Martonik.
All right. Well, welcome back to another episode of the East Meets West Hunt Podcast. And I've got Trevor Farnes, the Chief Visionary Officer and co-founder of Mountain Ops here.
Yeah, thanks for having me. We just did a podcast with you, and now we're reversing roles.
Yeah.
And I've learned so much from you, man. I'm excited that we're doing this and grateful and hopeful to spend more time learning from you. So
this has been an incredible day. And actually, we were just talking about, you've done, a lot of podcasts today, putting on this incredible event, the Conquer Summit here at the Mountain Ops HQ, which I'm so thankful to have been invited to and be a part of. So it was really cool to get to come out here and get to meet you in person and get to know you a little bit better.
I'm so grateful you made the time. I mean, and people, you've known the brand for a long time, but we've been doing these Conquer Summits for a few years now. And I was talking to Courtney, and I told her I really wanted you to be here. So anything we could do to make that happen. And they're just impactful. You can get to know each other online to an extent, but then when you spend time face to face with someone and you go through a challenging workout, or you experience a really good speaker that's kind of speaking to the heart, or you do an early morning hike, you end up creating greater bonds and connections, and through those connections we conquer in life. So I'm all about bringing people together. I think that's one of my goals in life, is as much as possible is to bring people face to face and experience things together. We might come from different backgrounds or walks of life, but when you go through something that maybe it's a little suffering or a little what we did today, conquering more, there's a unique bond that's created in relationships. So
the more I do these types of things, the more I see the value that you can't even put on paper, as far as like how to quantify the value that comes with these events and the relationships that you build through in person. We were talking on your podcast about the scouting camp, the Mountain Buck scouting camp that I do, and how I do them once a year, and that has become one of my favorite weekends to get people together, and people coming back year after year after year, just to spend time together, and I think that's a really powerful aspect of it. So why don't you tell the listeners a little bit what the Conquer Summit is, and like where that kind of came from, that idea?
Yeah. The Conquer Summit, we call it, that's the title we give it, but it's a day to conquer more. That's really what it is. And at Mountain Ops, our wellness, or our mantra is to conquer more, but it's in not just the physical. A lot of supplement brands out there, they're really going after like the look and the vanity aspect of health and wellness. At Mountain Ops, it's spiritual, it's physical, it's mental, it's social. And so you gain so much by having an event where there's actual, it's not just people speaking at you. We have some speakers that come, but it's like engaging in that element of spiritual or the physical or the mental or the social together. So for the longest time here at Mountain Ops, part of our culture has been a Conquer More challenge. And it happens every month, and there's awards at the end of every month, and every quarter you're given an accountability partner here at Mountain Ops. We've done this for about 8 years. And what it is an opportunity for us to live what we preach, because you can't give what you don't have. And so every quarter you get an accountability partner, and you set goals with them, your own personal goals, but you share them with them so you have somebody to be reporting to. And you set a goal in the spiritual realm of life, in the physical realm of life, in the mental, and in the social. So it's been so much a part of our culture. And then we started to kind of let that spill over into the community and speak that language and say, hey, here's how we are conquering more in life. And it's not just about these supplements. It's about utilizing those supplements or utilizing the connection to our brand to really improve life. And fortunately, we're in an industry where people in this industry live to conquer more. They're out facing mountains, whether they're actually like in the mountains playing or hunting or whatnot. But they also recognize the metaphor in the mountains and the challenges we might face and how to overcome them by incorporating these 4 elements. So a few years ago, we thought, let's incorporate these into an annual getaway. And at first it was just the executive team, and then we added directors, and then we thought, let's bring in some of our partners as well. And then from there it morphed into like, hey, our partners love this. Let's just make a day out of it. Let's do it on our anniversary. We can have kind of the whole Mountain Ops team there. It doesn't have to just be executive or directors or whatnot. Let's bring everyone together for a day to conquer, and let's give people a glimpse into the culture of Mountain Ops by conquering that day together. And so now, we've got anywhere from the company that does our shipping, the company that does our flavor house comes, they bring some of their staff. We bring in our manufacturer. We bring in our tax partners. We bring in as many people that have a touch on the brand as possible so that when they are here, they can feel that this is so much more than a bottle of amino acids.
Yeah.
There is so much more heart and soul to this. And it is all about really improving lives of those that are taking the products. But what this product, when we sell it, does for us, it gives us a resource. There's a revenue that comes from it. And I believe in being a wise steward of that revenue that comes in, and that it shouldn't just go to pad our pockets. We should actually utilize that to help others that are maybe a little less fortunate than us to conquer more in life. And so we've created our Operation Conquer Hunger. But the summit is kind of this event every year where people get a little glimpse into the heart and soul of this brand. People that have been touched by it or impacted by it can come in, participate in it. Today we brought in our Conquer 90. Every year we do a Conquer 90 challenge. And it's based off of those 4 elements, but we brought the winners in. We presented them a male and a female with a $10,000 check.
Yeah.
They have some incredible stories to tell in their transformations. Yes. And their transformations look amazing physically, but when you sit down and talk to them, it's about connection.
Yeah.
Those that they love most and how those connections have been more amplified and more intentional now that they have the energy and the health and the well-being to actually focus on them. So it's a day to celebrate many things, but really it's bringing people together to connect and conquer.
Yeah. As I've mentioned before, but I've been a customer of Mountain Ops since 2015
Mm-hmm.
and had followed the brand and always have believed in the mission of it. But being here today just opened my eyes even more, and seeing all of the people here and the family that all of you have created, and how every one of them believes in the same mission and genuinely seem happy to be here and to be helping, and to the impact is just is really awesome to be able to see. And I'd said this on your podcast, so I apologize if someone listened to that and I'm repeating myself, but there's been something Mountain Ops that's been flowing in my veins every week since for the last 10 years, and the company is now 11 years old, this week, right?
Yeah, 11 years old. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. This week. So, and we appreciate that, the support, like when that's flowing through your veins for the last, 10 years or whatnot, that means that it's supported me. It supported my family. It supported the team that you see that is so happy.
Yeah.
It supported our ability to go and feed hungry children, which was what we do with our Operation Conquer Hunger. So for me, I'm so grateful for those that have been a part of this journey. And it's through people like you that we've been able to continue to build. And yeah, you look around today and you see people that are happy. We started the day with some service as our spiritual aspect. We went into a really, challenging workout with Eric McCormick leading that. That's our physical. There's social activities around the office after that. And then we go down and we have a mental activity where we have a speaker that comes in and speaks to mindset and such, and overcoming obstacles in life. And you look at people on our team, they're happy. They love working here. It's because they're a part of something bigger than just a supplement, or bigger than themselves, bigger than most companies offer. In fact, in Utah in 2024, we were voted best place to work in Utah.
Oh, that's incredible.
And that was probably one of the greatest recognitions that I think the brand has received for me. And it's the brand has received a lot. We've been one of the fastest growing companies in Utah multiple years in a row. There's been different awards the company's received, but that one in particular meant more to me than anything, because there was a survey done with every single employee here, and they all had to answer it. If we had one missing employee, we were disqualified. And so the award came from their responses about their satisfaction in the workplace, how they looked at leadership, how they were treated, and opportunities for growth, what the culture was all about. Did it help challenge them in life? Did it help them grow into areas of life that they wanted to? And so we were recognized as that place. We call it a family. And, sometimes people say, well, work shouldn't be family. It's like, well, for me personally, I've only got so many years on this earth, and I don't compartmentalize life very well. I am who I am wherever I am, and I spend a lot of time here with the individuals here. So I want them to know that I love them, I appreciate them, I care for them. I want them to know that the gifts that they are given in life are seen and are able to be put to work in this mission that is so far beyond any of us individually, and when people feel like that is put to use and it's recognized and validated, and then it has this impact that we're all creating together, they stick around. They love what they do. They're happy. They're, one of our core values at Mountain Ops is joy. And so when we look back at the steps we've taken throughout the year as a team and as individuals, we want to recognize we experienced moments of joy throughout this year, and it's been incredible. And today, as we conquered more together with this Conquer Summit, I can tell you, my cup is overflowing with joy because of the connections that have been made. And some of them are new. Some of them I've known about you for a long time, but I haven't had a conversation like these, in the last couple hours that we've had. And it just it's filled my cup, and now I just want to go run through a wall, and it gives me so much more meaning to now just go take the next step to grow this business, because what it means is new people that maybe don't know about us, or people that do know about us, we need to go help them in their lives, and we have an opportunity to really impact lives together with this brand. So.
Yeah, and it was funny when after we got done with today. So today started at 6 a.m. and I was back at the hotels about 5 p.m. I just got back from here, and I texted you. I said, hey, you've had a long day. You've been running around everywhere, leading a lot of the stuff here. And I was like, if you want to wait till tomorrow, totally fine. I'm open. We can do the podcast. And you're like, no, I am pumped up from today. Let's continue this on. And here we are at almost 8:30. So, 14 and a half hours into the day.
What helps is a really good product called Mountain Ops, and I'm just I mixed up some hydrate, but the first during my podcast with you, the Conquercast, I was drinking on some Ignite a little too late in the day, but it's all right. I've got Slumber to counteract that a little later, and then I just mixed up some hydrate. This weekend, today is not just today. When you're prepping for an event like today, it takes weeks and months to do. And then it comes into crunch time the last week of it, where everyone's kind of, here till late hours of the night. Everyone right now is home sleeping because they're so worn out. But yesterday we had a board meeting. We had our investors that bought into the business about 5 years ago here in town. We have our anniversary sale. We have Prime Day happening. So this week in particular is one of the biggest weeks of the year, most busy. We typically don't line up a board meeting and Prime Day and all that with the Conquer Summit, but just because of travel schedules and everything, we needed to make it happen today, and we had a great turnout. And yeah, I'm sure I'm going to crash sometime tomorrow.
Oh yeah.
We've actually got a parade tomorrow that Mountain Ops is in. We're here in Fruit Heights, but part of one of the neighboring towns, which I live in, is Farmington, and it's the festival days this weekend. And so tomorrow morning, my wife and I will hop in one of the Mountain Ops trucks, and we'll, kids in the back will throw candy. We'll throw out samples of the product and stuff. And for me, it's just an opportunity. You only have these so often, and the community is so attached to the brand. Like, you've got to show up. You've got to be there with people. And yeah, there's an energy that you can thrive on and feel uplifted by when you're just around the right people. And then I'm sure I'm going to crash at some point, probably after church on Sunday. I'm not typically a napper. I can't, but I guarantee you this Sunday I will be napping.
Yeah.
But it will be, it doesn't matter. That can happen then. Right now, I want to live in these moments. I want to enjoy these connections and do what we're doing. There's no place I'd rather be.
Yeah, it's inspiring. It's awesome to be able to see. But I want to go back to you talking about Operation Conquer Hunger. Okay. That is extremely, extremely powerful. And you talking about that today and hearing those numbers and everything, like when you talk about companies saying giving back, like this is giving back.
Yeah, and it's Conquer Hunger comes by way of our family experiencing our own hunger issues. So back in 2007, my wife and I had saved up enough money to go out and invest in our own business. That was the goal. That was the dream. We wanted to do good with some business, hopefully succeed with it. And you know how it is going out on your own. It's scary. And I had a few children at the time. But some opportunities piqued our interest. There was some real estate investments that we made in 2007. Had I known what was right around the corner in 2008, I would have run the other direction. But it really got us in the shorts, and it drove us to our knees. And then another one, we bought into a franchise, and this franchise was a retail franchise. My wife and I were young at the time. We had saved up enough so we could invest in multiple franchises. We should have just done one, but we did 7. And so we thought it was kind of the go big or go home mentality that we had. And really it was ambitious. We were young, naive. And sometimes it takes a little bit of just being dumb, Yeah. Like you just, sometimes not knowing what's ahead is a good thing when you're taking some risks. And so we just were a little dumb. And we put all this money into these franchises. So we had to pay for the franchise fees, several of them. We had to then inventory the stores. We had to build out and furnish the stores. Then I had to hire 7 friends to run those stores. Then the icing on top was that we signed 5-year personal guarantees on each of the retail locations. They were anywhere from $5,000 to $7,000 a month per location. We're young, and now all of a sudden we've got all this liability. So we needed the stores to open quickly so we could have some revenue coming in. And it didn't happen right away. The stores took a little longer to get open. Finally, they were open, and within about 4 months, they got shut down because the franchisor who had sold all these locations to everyone was shut down by a regulatory agency, and there was an investigation that had to be had on their end. Nothing to do with anything we were doing. We were doing everything on the up and up, but he had done some things that were under investigation, and it caused all the franchisees to have to shut down while he was investigated. We didn't have the staying power. We didn't have the working capital, the cash flow, and now I was receiving that education and the importance of that. And we were in a world of hurt. And at the same time, I had a daughter that's been here at the Conquer Summit today with us. She's 18 years old. She was just little at the time, but I remember going through all this just scared to death. And she ended up in the hospital at the time with some liver and kidney issues. And when she went into this primary children's hospital here in Utah, come to find out there was a mishap in our insurance going from employed to self-employed, and she was deemed uninsurable. So she spends quite a bit of time in the hospital, and then she's on medications for 3 years that we just couldn't afford. But she had to, they were saving her life. They were correcting the kidney and liver issues that she was dealing with. And so we were being hit by multiple multiple things that were just driving us, honestly, to our knees, because our faith is a big part of who we are. And so we relied upon each other, but together, my wife and I, we looked to God probably more than we ever have in our life, especially together.
Yeah.
And, during those times, food became a topic of conversation where there wasn't a lot in the pantry. And there were days when I'd leave to go try to make a living for us. And my wife was at home trying to crack our own wheat from our food storage and try to feed our children off of that. And the little things that children would want, like a Cheese Whiz or, Twinkie here and there. We just couldn't do that. My walls were up a bit. I didn't want people to know after 4 months of these stores being open, they were shut down and we were struggling. So I kind of closed that off. I screamed from the rooftops that we were open for business, but then I didn't scream from the rooftops that we were closing the business. And so we were just fighting tooth and nail, but nothing was going in our favor, and we couldn't pay for the mortgage. We couldn't pay on our cars. So that food conversation, though, was always there. And being a family of faith, I remember often any time in the scriptures in the Bible, wherever it was, that I would read about food. And I over here, I have the bread of life, little sign on my desk. I'd read about the bread of life, and it would remind me that there is a source of strength and of sustenance and of nourishment, and it doesn't always come from the food that we want. And then I'd read about him telling his disciples, feed my sheep, and I took that literally. I was like, I know they're being told to go share the gospel, but I want to feed his children because I know what it's like to go without this food. And then ultimately it was the loaves and fishes. There was in the Bible a story of a young lad, and I just think they forgot to add that there was a young lady, and this young lad had a few loaves and fishes, and that's all me and my wife had. We were just scraping by, but we learned of an opportunity for $22 a month to feed a child in Africa, Malawi, Africa, for 30 days with $22. And we didn't have $22 at the time, but that felt like our loaves and fishes. And so we made a commitment together that we would give those loaves and those fishes, and we would turn them over to the Lord, because truly they weren't ours to begin with. Anything we had was from him. And we took that leap of faith and we trusted in him when we didn't have a lot. And then it began to multiply. But I never expected that it would be for the masses.
Yeah.
The Savior multiplied them for the thousands. And we didn't want to wait till a boat came in full to give. We just thought, in this moment where our eyes are being opened and we're seeing a need around us because we are the need, let's do something about it. These perspective moments, maybe they're our superpower. And I remember thinking, if I could build a business where the resource of that business became something where we could feed hungry children, that was like the goal. I had no idea how we'd make it happen. So we just started with $22. We were just, the businesses were failing. I went through multiple business failures. I have a wife that never made me feel like a failure when I did almost every day. Like, I've got 3 little children at the time. We now have 4. And I couldn't provide the basic necessities, but there would be times when people would leave groceries on our doorstep. And I kind of know maybe who it was. And I know that those individuals had been in the shoes we were now in. And in life, you're most powerfully positioned to serve the person you once were. And so we were starting to realize, like, hey, we have an ability now to see the need of another where we didn't before. So that's where Operation Conquer Hunger, when we started Mountain Ops, I wasn't a hunter. I had never done that. I grew up in the outdoors. I skied, I snowmobiled, I biked, I hiked, those types of things. But the thing that intrigued me most about hunting right off at the get-go was, like, I get to go out on the mountain and bring food home for my family, because we've gone so much without. So this would be amazing. I remember the first deer I shot, and I made jerky out of all of it, but I watched it all night, like in the hydration. I was just watching it. I wanted it to turn out perfect, and then it was a small deer, so it was gone within a few days.
Yeah.
We're just, but we loved that, and I loved that aspect of it. And now I was finding myself in this realm of the hunting industry with Mountain Ops. People are going out on the mountain to feed themselves. We're giving people nutrition to supplement their nutrition, supplemental nutrition, where people are spending $200 a month with us. But I knew that there's people that can barely fathom 2 meals a day, and let alone supplement for their nutrition. So now there's this convergence of these things that had been on my mind for such a long time. So I went to our partners one day and just said, what if, my wife and I have been making this donation. What if with every order that comes through Mountain Ops, we tie it to food, because it's so much a part of our industry and so much a part of our product. And let's donate a meal for every order that comes through Mountain Ops. and everyone was for it. And we then branded Operation Conquer Hunger. And it's a beautiful system tied to every purchase of our product. And we just, as of a few months ago, hit the 7 millionth meal point, truly multiplying our loaves and fishes. I honestly, when I think about it, I'm like, how in the world does this happen? But all I can say is that God, he returns to us, in that story, 12 baskets full. And then what do we do with those 12 baskets? We have more resource to work with. And so we continue to multiply and multiply and multiply. And that's what Mountain Ops is all about, taking the resources, being wise stewards of it, understanding this is a beautiful system that supports people in their journeys. But this community we've built, they understand that while they're supporting their own selves, it's also supporting those that are less fortunate. And today we called our shot on the stage.
You did call your shot.
Yeah. And I knew that's what I wanted to call. And then I was like, I started to have feelings of this. No, don't do that. That's too much. Because that's 3 million meals in the next year and a half that we need to do, that we need to donate. And that's a lot. And so it kind of scared me a little bit. But then I thought, it should scare me a little bit. Just this morning when I sat outside with everyone, I read a letter from my dad who passed away a couple years ago. He's the reason why this brand exists, to be honest with you. It was the first product was Enduro. It was for his heart health. And so I built this business. I built the product initially around my dad's health, and then we found an opportunity to bring it into the hunting space. And, but in the handwritten letter that I read this morning to the team, it was like, he told me, Trevor, set your goals high. And there's nothing with the faith that you have that you can't accomplish with the help of your Heavenly Father. And so I read that this morning. It kind of reinvigorated that with me. And then Ben's telling us at the speaking event, like, hey, call your shot right now.
Yeah.
Make it big. Put a date. And so I thought, okay, by the end of 2026, we're going to hit 10 million meals having donated. And I wasn't sure how my team would respond when I get up there and I'm like going to announce this, because this puts some pressure on them, right? And I loved it. Like our new CEO, he was the first, yes, let's do it, And I'm looking at him and then I look at my team and everyone's, yeah. And it'll take everyone that's in that room and everyone in the Mountain Ops community. It can't come down to just the Mountain Ops team of employees. It's the community that creates the loaves and fishes that are multiplied. And so that's the Operation Conquer Hunger story. We are exhausting every effort through this business. If you think it's just a supplement brand, you need to come and you need to recognize that it is so much more.
Yeah.
It is so much more. This is feeding God's children in a very unique way. And we just have this system that provides that. And I'm blessed to be a part of it every day. It's where I want my focus to be.
Yeah. And it's awesome, you being a part of this from, obviously from the beginning and starting the company, and 11 years later, hearing this passion that's still in your voice. And that is awesome. 'Cause I have seen it where people get burned out in a certain situation. I'm sure you have ups and downs with, everything, but the fact that the purpose of this is so much bigger than just the supplements. And I don't say just the supplements, but so much greater than that it fuels everything for you. And I wanted, I don't remember if you had said it, but so up to this point, it's been what, 7 million meals that have been donated.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah. It's amazing. And the thing that I love about it most is that most of these meals are packed by the Mountain Ops community. The food is packed and delivered to kids. So we started out in Malawi, Africa, and then we thought, hey, if there's something we can do to be more hands-on than just writing a check, that'd be incredible for the team and for the community that we're building. And it's just picking up momentum. So that's why 11 years later, it's actually like it's building more momentum now than it ever has. And the team that we have now is more equipped to accelerate that and to magnify it and amplify everything that we're doing. So I'm just so excited. In fact, I stepped away as CEO last year. I hired my replacement, not to leave the company, but to be more founder forward and to share this message and this mission, because there's people that have been a part of the brand from the beginning that aren't even very aware of what we're doing with Operation Conquer Hunger and the influence that you have on people buying our product. I want you to know, like, any influence you've had on people, you've been helping us feed these hungry children and families. It's like, that's the touch point that people sometimes don't even understand. By being a part of this brand and by sharing it with others, that's what they're doing. And it's incredible to let people know you are the driving force behind this. So yeah, these we typically hold events where last year we held 11 of them, and it was a lot, but we would pack 40 to 60,000 meals within about an hour, sometimes less, with about 300 people. We come together. I share the story of Operation Conquer Hunger and Mountain Ops and how the product is tied into every aspect of this, how the company and the brand really are the providers of this. And then we go to packing together in an assembly line, and the energy is incredible. We've done events in Hawaii and North Carolina, South Carolina, Montana, Idaho, a lot here in Utah. So the food's getting, taken out throughout the country. Right now, we just raised some funds through our raffle and everything for the Conquer Summit, and all the food that is being put together will go down to the victims of the Texas flooding that's going on right now. So whenever there's a need, we try to divert the attention and the funding to go towards that need is. And then outside of that, it goes into schools that children during the week or on the weekends, if they're hungry or they don't have something for the weekend, they can go to their principal or teacher. They take home one of these packs that has 5 meals in it for them. There's a little note inside today. Everyone wrote notes for those kids. But the note that's typically in there, it's a little Winnie the Pooh statement that tells these kids that they're smarter than they think, love more than they know. They were made to conquer. And so we're inspiring these kids, hopefully, obviously removing a distraction, removing that hunger that they have by putting some food in their belly, but more than anything, hopefully inspiring some hope and confidence in them. And we've even got a Guinness World Record last year where we packed the most meals with the most people in a day. It was 550,000 meals or something like that. That with a few organizations here in Utah, the Utah Jazz and New Skin, we came together and we did this big meal packing event, and so it's been incredible to see. And honestly, little did my wife and I know, sitting in the bed that night when we wrote it all out, here's what we're going to do. Here's what we're going to commit to the Lord. And here's what we want to hopefully achieve through it all. And then we repeated that. We read a book called Think and Grow Rich together. And so we've created like this little statement that we would share every night. And these were things we're going to go after. And then we prayed to God and asked Him to help us. And for me, it's just incredible to watch how the hand of the Lord will go to work when we're willing to allow Him to direct our hearts and our minds and utilize the perspective that He's giving us to propel us forward, not to be a hitching post, but a guidepost in our lives.
Yeah, and I think, something I picked up on even with your story of back in 2007 and those hard times is, even in those moments, I'm sure it could be really easy to become negative, and maybe you were at times, but I think the perspective of it and taking those, and even when you got through it, taking those hard times and turning that into a positive to what you're doing today. And I think perspective is so big on how you look at things. Something I'd been thinking about, and a lot of it was inspired recently seeing more stuff with Operation Conquer Hunger, but tying it into, I was thinking about like from a hunting standpoint. One thing, I was talking to some of the people at the Game Commission in Pennsylvania, and they're talking about in certain areas there being too many deer and needing to get the population in check for the landscape and overall health of the deer herds. And how can we get people to shoot more does, and how can we do that? And a lot of times people don't have, and like I've run into this before. I didn't need any more meat. Yeah. Okay. And it's like, all right, so what can you do to be able to donate some of that? And I know it's weird with wild game as far as how you can do that, but there are some programs where you can donate. There's some locally that I know that you can, take meat there to be able to donate to people in need. But with a lot of these programs, the person who shoots the deer still has to pay the processing fees to then donate it. And maybe there's a lot of people that don't have that $150 or whatever it might be, $200 to get it processed to be able to donate it. It's like, how can, how is there a solution? And this is just something I'm working through in my head, but of like how that you can cover those costs, so it makes it easy for people to do that. So you're helping, you're accomplishing many goals in that, from the standpoint of, from a wildlife standpoint and the conservation goals, and then you're helping people that are in need in your local communities by
I
being
love
able to
it,
do it.
man. Yeah, that gets me fired up right there too. Like finding new ways to kill multiple birds with one stone and to be
Yeah.
more involved in the hunting community and really tied to it. So let's explore that.
Yeah.
I think that's an incredible opportunity.
Just
I love it.
something I was thinking about, and then it's just inspired me more being here of
Yeah.
like, all right, let's see
Yeah,
what
no,
see what
let's
we can
explore
do.
that together. I absolutely love that. And if we can tie it into conservation and people getting out on the mountain and then able to process and donate that,
Yeah.
that hits on so many levels for me. So
Yeah. I don't know. It's just,
it's incredible.
yeah. And that's so that said, like even with myself of getting to be here again, I've been familiar with the brand, familiar with what you've been doing for a while, but I don't think you can hear it or see it or experience it enough times, and you don't know when that's really going to hit as far as like that impact in helping think about it in a different light. And I just think it's truly impactful, and love that.
Well, you're so much a part of it, and that's what I hope to express today to the people that were here. Is like this doesn't happen without the community, and it doesn't grow without growing the community.
Mm-hmm.
And so, honestly, right now at Mountain Ops, part of my role and responsibility is to drive more awareness to the brand and the things that we're doing that people may not know about, that really is what people resonate. People mostly resonate with our core values because they're their core values, from recognizing God to service to family. Like those are important things. A part of the hunting community, it's very prevalent in that space. And then our mission to conquer more. I love, some products in the outdoor industry you don't get to use as often as you'd like. Maybe you use them more in the field than any other time, and so you're excited to use that gun or the bow when you're lacing up your boots, but you don't do that every day. And maybe you're buying those, whatever it is. There's a lot of products out there for us to utilize, to buy, to consume. Mountain Ops is a part of most people's lives in that space when they're taking this product almost every day.
Yeah.
Like you said, for the last 10 years, at least every week, it's flowing through your brain. So what I feel like this brand does for the hunter is it activates that passion of the hunt. It reminds them who they are, and that hunt. It's something that kind of instills that, but also activates it every single day that they're taking it. Where you don't get to do that with many products in the hunt industry. So I love that it's provided that for individuals. But yeah, like you said, coming out here and experiencing it, it's kind of hard to explain or to describe until you come and do it. So somehow we've got to get more people involved in days like today. So
it's that was super cool. And I did want to transition a little bit to going back to your background, like you developing these how did you get to that point, developing these products and that side of it?
Yeah, it was interesting. Coming off of multiple business failures, I could have just been like, okay, I'm no good at business. Like this isn't for me. But I didn't feel that way. And fortunately, my wife didn't make me feel that way. There was a goal, and she's like, hey, we might need to pivot a little bit, but let's pivot and let's find something new. I remember reading a book called No More Heart Disease, and the only reason why I read it at the time, it wasn't kind of my down the typical book that literature I would read, but my dad was going through some heart health issues at the time. He had a few stents put in his heart, and to increase his blood flow and to keep him alive, and he had horrible blood pressure, really bad neuropathy, couldn't feel his fingers and toes. So I saw this book. It's actually sitting over on that shelf over there right now. You kind of see the red writing, and it talks about different ingredients, amino acids and such that you can utilize to increase blood flow and circulation. And I took that book to a chemist and just asked, was he able to make a concoction that we could put my father on to see if it would work? That's how it started. I had no business being in formulation. I didn't do the formulation. I actually took the book to a chemist. And here in Utah, there's many manufacturing plants for supplementation. It's a big hotbed for supplements here in Utah.
Okay.
So there's a few here that I had a connection to. So I took it, said, look at this book. And the guy, the formulator, the chemist said, hey, I can make it even better than what I feel like is in here. But that book was written by a Nobel Prize winner in 1998, and his work was done within nitric oxide, which is what Enduro, Yeti, and Ignite create through amino acids like arginine and citrulline. And when combined in the right amounts, it would prolong the production of nitric oxide in the body. And that's what my dad needed, because after the stents went in, his cardiologist told him, take arginine tablets. So he'd go to Walgreens, he'd buy 1,000 milligram arginine tablets, and that just wasn't enough for what he needed. So we put him on the product, and within a few days, he started feeling some tingling sensation in his fingers and toes. He was always rubbing his hands, and his toenails were dead, and just didn't have the right circulation. And it started to improve. And his cardiologist had told him he'll have open heart surgery within about 5 years. My dad, unfortunately, he passed away a couple of years ago, but it had nothing to do with his heart. He had a fall down their stairs and broke his neck. It was super tragic and very abrupt. We didn't expect that. But they resuscitated him, and they said his heart's incredibly strong. He never had to have the open heart surgery. His cardiologist just told him, keep taking Enduro, keep taking what your son's giving you. And so that's how I got into supplementation. Started selling through doctors' offices initially, kind of by mistake. Like I built a website and thought, if I build it, they'll come. And that it's a horrible thought. It just doesn't happen.
Sounds good.
It's I saw it on the Field of Dreams, but it just doesn't happen that way in business. And there's certain market segments that are certain categories that are very saturated. Supplementation is one of them.
Yeah.
And there's not a lot of loyalty, very fragmented space. People jump from one to the other. And so, I thought, okay, I'll build this website. I didn't have any money. My brothers invested in the first 500 bottles of product that they had to buy, and put it up online, and nothing, and I didn't have money to market with. I was doing some social media on Facebook and stuff. A few days later, a message popped up that I got my first order, and it was actually from a chiropractor. And so without that chiropractor knowing he was the first, I called and talked to him. I thought, I got to make sure I'm cool, calm, and collected. He can't know that he's the first order, Hey, your order number million, and I just told him, hey, why are you buying the product? I see you bought a handful of it. And he said, well, it's the perfect formulation for my patients with blood pressure and neuropathy. And I thought, okay, that's great. That's why we formulated it. And then I kind of changed route. I'm like, well, if I can't compete online with all these brands that are, a lot of them kind of schemy supplement brands that were hiding behind the screen, you didn't really know who they were, making false claims. I just thought, maybe I'll go knock doors on these chiropractor doors and go to physical therapists and massage therapists. And that's what we did. And we started selling through. We've sold through a few thousand chiropractors that we had in this business. And it was a good, slow, steady growth business. It's actually still in business. It's close to, it started in 2010. And it was for my dad. So I could really get behind that mission because it was helping him. It was helping. We have a history of heart disease in our family. So, it was helping me and my brothers. And then I was introduced to the Harbertsons and Joel Pilcher in 2014. And I was wanting to know, was there a place other than where I'm at to take these supplements? And they were, we asked them to do some marketing for us. I think build out some landing pages for our website through their marketing agency. But I found they were doing a lot of their marketing in the hunting space. And I just asked, is there a place for supplements like mine in the hunt? And they said, absolutely. There is huge hunter athlete movement right now. Brands like Under Armour, Yeti, Sitka, but there's not really a consumable brand that's really leading the way in a powerful way. So if we brand it correctly, and if your products really work, then we can do something with this. And then we were off to the races.
Yeah.
And it really hit at the right time, with the right message, the right taste, the right efficacy, and the look and feel. Hunters weren't shopping at GNC. They weren't working out at Gold's Gym. They were out in God's gym,
Yeah.
And so now all of a sudden there's a brand that was speaking their language, and 72% of our customers were first-time buyers of supplements.
Really?
Really. When we've done a lot of surveys, and a lot of them like, hey, no, supplementation for the first time, I'm really diving into it with Mountain Ops. So the hurdle was education, because a lot of these guys hadn't been, that just the gym bro culture wasn't their thing, So now this product was speaking their language, and they they were loving it, and it just grew. And we've developed into a lot of different products, a ton of different products. We sell a lot of hats and shirts. We sell in a lot of really cool retailers throughout the country, and it's just been a huge blessing to be a part of the hunting community, which I never expected to be a part of, because I didn't build it for the hunting initially, but the way I built it was for long-lasting sustainability. And it just happens to be that the hunting audience needs that long-lasting sustainability out in the field, and also typically in their workplace. They're working long hours, and they're good hard workers. And these products just translated over into their day-to-day work, into their family life, and then in the field when they're out on the mountain doing what they love to do.
Yeah, what's funny is so prior to being introduced to the Mountain Ops brand, and I'd taken supplements in college, and I was always big into lifting weights. I'd go to GNC or whatever supplement shop, but there was no loyalty to I'd buy whatever NO Explode and this and that.
That was my first.
Yeah. I went through all C4 and like all these different things, and I had realized a lot of it was just like, it gave me this like tingling feeling sort of deal. And it was funny, even, and some of my buddies that I worked out with then that are in law enforcement now, that don't even hunt that much, but they're into mountain ops now, and they're like, I like just the clean energy feel, the non jittery, just like that feel.
That was huge for us. We call it a smooth energy. It's just a good, sustainable, smooth energy. No jitters, no crash. That was big for us. And there's good products out there. There's a lot of great products that aren't mountain ops, but a lot of those pre-workouts were just hitting the nervous system, just stimulating people, and then just dropping them off really quick. Where our product was built for my dad's heart health, and most of these start with the heart and increasing blood flow, so it acts as a conduit to really help the body not just be hit in the nervous system, but actually like have that smooth energy that lasts. So
and even like the products, some of the other everyday stuff, like the immune one is something that, and just like the overall vitamin supplements. So I think it was 2014, somewhere around that time, I was diagnosed with Lyme disease from a tick, and I didn't know. I had so many ticks in me through the years that I don't know which one did it, but it ended up going into me having different food allergies and reducing my immune system. So like gluten's something I can't have, and like I had many issues from it, and my immune system is not great, especially when I go on trips like this. Immune, like I take all those. It's important for me to take my vitamins, because when I get low sleep and long days and
your
everything,
body wears down,
my body wears down and I get sick.
Yeah, I'm the same way.
Yeah. So
I don't think I have Lyme's disease, but and that's unfortunate. That's hard.
Yeah. But it's helped me in that. And that's why it was like, even, most recently is like officially working with mountain officers was like, man, it's such an easy transition for me, because I haven't been using it for so long. It's been such a awesome. a part of my life, and seeing that, and then having it a brand that's focused towards hunters is also cool too.
That's awesome. And I think that not a lot of people know the breadth of our product lineup, because there is the immune boosting products. We've got a product that is for altitude sickness, so those that are coming from the east to meet the west, or from just low sea levels, where they're coming up into the Rocky Mountains, their bodies go through some different stress hormones that this product helps them adapt to that. And there's adaptogenic properties, but I've found through some of our customers that it's also awesome to increase their VO2 max. So we have a lot of runners that are using that product. We've got inflammation products, we've got cardiovascular, we've got pre-workouts, we've got proteins, we've got multivitamins, we've got greens, we've got reds, we've got, protein bars. We've got so much in between. And then, we like to say we wake people up, and then we can put them to sleep too,
Slumber.
And slumber. It honestly might be one of my most used products in my house, because, we've got the gummy version. I like to take those, especially when I'm traveling or I'm on the mountain. But if I sit down at night and I drink the Cocoa Slumber, It's an amazing experience. It tastes good. You can just end the day with a hot cocoa,
yeah.
and then you know within 20, 30 minutes you're feeling like, okay, it's time to close the eyes.
Sleepy Chai is my
Sleepy Chai was the original.
Yeah.
And where we tested that for the first time was on a flight to New Zealand. I was with the Hush guys, and we had just had a winner, a guy from Michigan that won. He bought one bottle of Enduro, and he won a trip to New Zealand for Tar and Stag. And a really cool guy. And we had this Sleepy Chai that we were all going to try for the first time. We got on the plane, and we had a 14-hour flight, and everyone took it, and everyone was out. And so that was our first time with the product, and I loved it, you know. And yeah, that flavor is incredible. I don't drink it as much anymore. I love it in milk, and I don't drink as much milk right before bedtime. But so the Sleepy Cocoa is kind of my go-to right now. But the chai, man, that flavor is incredible.
Yeah, and so if I don't think of it, like if I can give myself some time to wind down, I'd like to drink. But otherwise, the gummies are like kind of the quick. If I kind of forget, I'm like, got a lot on my brain. I've been working, and it's like sometimes it's hard just to fall asleep. I've never had like a huge problem with staying asleep, but sometimes it's the falling asleep and just your mind running.
I'm the same way.
And take a couple of those gummies. Now I will. This, at least this has been my experience. I won't take it unless I make sure I have like 6 hours that I'm gonna sleep. Otherwise, it's hard to wake up.
Yeah, that's true. It's so true. And you know, and some people, every body reacts a little different too. Because I've had some people, I'm the same way as you. I need 6 hours of sleep, and I need that for my health and my energy. Like, I know, and my wife knows, I get a little anxious if the sleep time's getting less than 6 hours and goes for multiple days. I start to get sick. And so, I want to make sure. There's other people that will take it and they'll sleep for 4 hours where they typically sleep for 6, but they feel like they get the 6 hours and they wake up from it just refreshed. There's other people that take it, and this was me in the beginning. I don't know if it happened to you, and it was more with the powder, but you know, it was like I would drink it, and then I was like buying a ticket for a movie, and I didn't know what was going to show up on the screen for that movie, and I would have these vivid dreams. And it was like, I actually have always said we need to do commercials about slumber, like buying the ticket, and then all of a sudden there's bugling elk or something, and whatever the dream is. But you know, I'd have sometimes they were crazy dreams, and I was like, why in the world am I dreaming that? But it was that kind of wore out. And anytime anyone asked me, hey, does that happen to you? I said, yes. But if you keep drinking it, like the third or fourth night, like you probably, the movies end. And, which is unfortunate, because sometimes it's like, I wonder what's going to be shown. But, that happens to some people. So everyone reacts a little different to these supplements, you know. But honestly, the majority with the slumber just have a very restful, peaceful night's sleep. Where if it's like you and I, and it's like, I just have a struggle getting my mind to turn off, but I can stay asleep once I'm there, then it's totally helps me wind down my thought process. Because there's so much on our plates, and so many things we're thinking about, and so many people too. You know, it's like I ended the meeting today with time and attention, and the dream that I had where the hands were going. I probably drank slumber that night, and hands are going up in my dream out in this crowd, and I'm like, why do people? And they were bidding for my time and attention. You know, and that's how life is. And so when you're trying to go to sleep at night, and you're like, okay, who do I need to get back with, and this and that, and you got family, and you got church, you got community, you got mountain ops, you got all these things. Slumber has been critical for me to just like get a restful sleep. And my wife and I, we have a routine every night. It's kind of the way she likes to do it. I actually really enjoy it as well, but we've got older kids now. They're out late. They're going a million different directions. We're tired, but we usually put on a show at like 10 or 11. We drink our slumber together, and then by the end of the show, we're both just exhausted, and we're falling asleep. So,
so first of all, I would say the dreams. That's like one of my favorite parts. I was like,
does it still happen a lot?
Because I don't take it every night.
That's probably my downfall. It's almost addicting to me. Like right now, as we're talking about it, my mouth's watering for slumber. Sleepy cocoa.
So the reason why, and this is a question I wanted to ask. I didn't know, is it bad to take it every night, or is it like, will it
If
hurt
it was-
if you didn't have it? Is it going to make it harder for you to fall asleep on a night you don't have it?
No, I think sometimes your body just gets into a routine. And so if you don't have it, maybe your body falls out of that routine. And you're like,
Yeah.
hey, what do I do now? I don't have my cocoa in me. There's what some people are concerned about is the amounts of melatonin. And in this product, there is melatonin, but it's a very small amount. I think it's 2.5 milligrams.
Yep.
So very small amount. If it was 10 milligrams and you're taking that daily, then people, will worry that their body will stop making the melatonin that it naturally will.
Okay.
But with the amounts, because it's not just melatonin in this product, there's theanine, hops extract, magnesium. There's a slumber. We call it our hibernate formula.
Yeah.
So it's more than just the melatonin, and so no, it's actually okay. We haven't seen any issues with that. The only problem is, your body can get into a routine of like, I drink this, and then it does have that effect. The cool thing is, I've never seen the effect of it wear off. Like by taking it as often as I do, the same effect happens every day. And I've taken this for years.
Yeah.
And I still have the same sleep routine where it's like, okay, I know if I take this, I can trust that I'm going to have that experience. With caffeinated products, sometimes your body will get used to, you're not as sensitive to caffeine. And so it's good to cycle off if you want to feel that burst of energy again, for some reason with slumber, I've never had the experience where it was like, hey, I took it and I couldn't fall asleep.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. I'm glad you explained that, because I was always wondering that, but I still may continue to cycle just to make sure I have those dreams.
Yeah, no, I think and I should probably do the same thing, because it's like, holy cow. And a lot of times they're vivid dreams, so you wake up, you're like, what in the world? But it's funny, because the number of people that have told me, hey, can I ask you a question? I'm having these dreams, and it feels like it's every time I take slumber. It's not everyone that has that, but and a lot of people like that. They're like, I never dream, and now I'm dreaming,
Yeah.
So,
It's like the most vivid, and I can like remember them when I wake up for a period of time, and it's like,
interesting, huh?
I'm ready for this ride. Like, what am I going to do tonight?
Yeah, exactly.
But it was funny when we were it was a couple months ago, and Maddie that was working with the ads team, she was talking to me about doing an ad, and she's like, what was something that you want to do? I said, well, I said, I got the perfect one. So I pitched it to her, because she's like, I have some ideas. I said, when you hear me out on this, I said, I want to do one on slumber. I said, for going to camp. We're talking about on, your podcast about deer camp and stuff. Well, this was bear camp. This was about a month ago, maybe 2 months ago at this time, this coming out. But we were up in Canada, a bunch of guys in camp. Some people stay up later than others, and you're sleeping next thin walls, snoring going on, all of these things to get a good night's sleep. I rely on that. It's like, all
That's
right,
awesome.
take a couple of the gummies, and then I'll sit there and have the final conversations, go brush my teeth, go lay down in bed, and within 5 minutes it's like lights out, and my alarm goes off, and I'm like, all right,
so
good to go. And it was like, that was such a natural.
Did you guys made that?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, we did.
Have we started using?
I think so.
Yeah, I haven't seen it. I got to check that out.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and that's exactly how.
That's so true. It's and people want something they can rely on. They want a trusted. When we've done these research studies for Mountain Ops, and to know like, how are we resonating with our community? What more do we need to say or share? How do we stack up against the competition? We've paid for studies to be done where we are stacked up against every major competitor out there, like outside of the hunting space, just in supplementation category and everything. And these reviews come back, and because one of them had a few thousand people that were participants, and they had to be a part of the outdoor activities. They had to be taking supplements like ours. And the big thing that they came back with was Mountain Ops is a brand people trust, and that's not normal for the supplement space. It's just not a trusted space, and so to be recognized as that, it was an incredible thing to receive. But so that comes because of a lot of times because people see us living our core values, and then a lot of times it's because they've taken the product and they can trust the effect that it's going to have on their body. So it's kind of this combination of effects on them. But that's one product that I can tell people, like, I just trust me. If you need help with your sleep, take this product, try both form factors, see what works for you. Sometimes when you're getting up to my age, I'm 43 years old, not old, but like you wake up in the night to go pee a little more often. So so sometimes I'll switch out for the gummies, especially if I'm in a tent or something. So I'm not climbing out of the tent in the middle of the night. But I was just in Hawaii a couple weeks ago hunting, and I just didn't want to get up and go. So I just did the gummies every time, and then I can sleep until it's time to wake up. But sometimes with the powder, I get up in the middle of the night.
Well, the powder, the reason why I don't like using that on, say, like a hunt is because it dirties a container. Like that's so that's where when the gummies came out, I was like, oh, this is a perfect solution for that. Yeah. But I enjoy the actual drink more.
So the experience. And that's honestly part of what we've really tried to incorporate at Mountain Ops. Like you'll see so many flavors come out and so many cool packaging that like kind of introduce that flavor with the limited time, limited edition flavors and such. Like we want the product to give people an experience.
Yeah.
If it was just all pill products, and we do sell pill products, but if it was just all that, like you've got to fill it, but because there's nothing you're enjoying when you're taking it, and so we come out with a lot of really cool flavors, like the greens that are sitting up here. Most greens that you try on the market taste like you're licking the bottom of a lawnmower. Not that I've ever tried that, but that's what I imagine, Here's our next ad, okay? And somebody's licking the bottom of the lawnmower, and then they try our greens.
I'm not doing that.
Well, we need to get one of your friends or something. But maybe I'll lick the bottom of the lawnmower, and then but this, I mean, it tastes really delicious, and so we've worked really hard. We hire a flavor technician to do our flavors, and they were here today at the Conquer Summit. And they work on perfecting our flavors. Our flavors were good when we started Mountain Ops, but they weren't as good as they are now. Our ability to really flavor things in a way that just make people want to continue to drink them is incredible. And having flavor options so there's no flavor fatigue. But those greens, it's like, it's
I love those greens.
So good. And I've got stomach issues, and so having that gut support and digestive enzymes and everything that come from that has been super critical.
That's exactly why I take it too. And like I said, with having the gluten sensitivity, where it's not full on celiacs, but I completely avoid it. But when you go to restaurants or you have anything, you're always getting touch points where you're introduced to it and it messes with my gut. And that's something that I use to help counteract that and just help make things, a little bit better. And, but the flavors I didn't have a ton of experience with other greens to really be able to compare it to, but I like the flavor of that, and it's been really good. But you're talking about how pills, that aren't as fun, like the multivitamins. I hate when the straight to mouth ones are out of stock, and I was like, I have to go to do the pills because they're not as fun. The other one's like a pixie stick. I just.
For those of you that don't know, that like we have a really cool form factor. It is a pixie stick, and some people will mix it into their, like if they're drinking Yeti, they'll just pour it in and mix it in. But a lot of people, like I'm a runner, and I like to run on the trails, and so when I'm out, I take the little we call them STM, straight to mouth.
Yep.
And so the pixie stick, we've got them in electrolytes, we've got them in immune, we've got them in biotics, probiotics, and that's what I use. I try and I don't like popping pills. I do pop some pills every day, but I try to have that fun experience. Or if I'm out on a run or a hike or a hunt, it's nice to just be able to pull something out, pour it straight into my mouth, and it tastes like candy, and so my kids love it, and it's safe for kids to take as well. So, we tested that on the kids when we were trying to go after that new form factor, and we've got other form factors that are coming out within the straight to mouth. We've got some that are coming out as like chews, which are like high chew type forms.
Ooh,
and hopefully I'm okay sharing all this, but like energy is a huge part of our business. So energy and creatine and maybe even some greens and stuff like that. We've got multiple different form factors we're working on right now. We're about to launch beef sticks that are coming out, I think in a couple months, but
Really?
Yeah, it's an amazing beef stick. It's 20 grams of protein per stick and about 150, 160 calories. So it's going to be awesome. So
Perfect for taking on hunts.
really,
Yeah.
yeah, it's going to be great.
Oh man, that's really exciting.
Yeah.
Because it's the whole, the whole package of, from an everyday standpoint, going on the hunt down to everything. And another in a product, and I'm not trying to make this fully about product, but
No,
it's
that's
just,
good.
this is something that I use a lot of those flash bags, something
Yeah.
super simple, but
Yeah.
I have those categorized in my pack. Like my first aid kit, I always keep that's in the orange one, because that I keep it in the lid of my pack. If I were to have an incident in the field and I weren't able to get it, someone could open up the lid of my pack, obviously tell it's a first aid
Yeah.
kit. And so like I take that flash bag, and then I have inside it, I have an uncharted triage kit, and then I have a few other things that I throw in there that I built kind of my own kit, but I keep it in that orange one that makes it super simple. Anybody can be able to find it. Just keeps things organized.
That's so cool.
Really, really
It's a
well.
good idea. I've never thought of categorizing it, because I use them all the time too. When I'm packing for trips, even whether they're hunting trips or they're family trips, like everything goes into those. And so I've got them all compartmentalized, and with what I've got. But cool to use the colors and the sizes for different things.
Mhm.
So for those that aren't familiar, we sell stuff like that. We sell an incredible merino wool. We've some base layers that way. We sell a lot of t-shirts and hats, and for a supplement brand, we sell more as a percentage of sales than most supplement brands ever could. And it's because the brand means something. It represents
Mhm.
something. We didn't come out and say, hey, we're Hunters Nutrition. No, Mountain Ops, and there's a metaphor for life in that. And the OPS stands for Outdoor Performance Supplements. And the mountain is, the actual mountains we like to hunt in, but it's also these representations of life and the things we're going after, and how the mountains we're climbing, the challenges we're facing, the summits we're trying to get to. And so it just means something for somebody to wear a shirt. And if you when you're traveling around, I don't know if you've experienced it, you see somebody in the airport, or you see somebody somewhere and they're wearing, you kind of like, hey, there's a connection. That guy's wearing Mountain Ops. It's
Like, hey,
it's really cool. Yeah, like I understand you. We're kind of cut from the same cloth, and so I love it. Like the apparel can be such an incredible brand piece, where now we've got hundreds of thousands of walking billboards all around the country that are wearing this gear, and it represents something. Again, going back to what we were talking about at the beginning, it represents so much more than just supplement. It's so much bigger than ourselves, and this community is doing incredible things to serve.
Yeah.
And to make an impact in people's lives.
Well, I think the shirt I'm wearing now, this is an older
It is.
one.
I was trying to figure out earlier, actually, what year that came out in.
I want to say like maybe 2018, 19,
Makes sense.
somewhere around that time frame. Yeah, I've got basically a whole dresser drawer full of Mountain Ops shirts from over the years.
That's so cool.
Yeah, and this one, for whatever reason, is one of my favorites. Yeah, you find certain ones that you tend to like.
I had one of our guys made a blanket for me that I have. I don't know if you saw it down in the
gym. That's
like
cool.
He made it for I think that was my 40th birthday, and I have a pile of other shirts that one day we'll probably add to another blanket. I've just tried to keep the history, and I've got a box full of all the hats that we've come out with, and there's too many now. I've got to find a place to put them. So my wife doesn't like all the bins stacking up. She's like, you got to display this somewhere if you're going to keep them,
Yeah.
So
no, that makes sense. Well, as we go to wrap this up, I want to ask you a little, we talked about conquering and the metaphor with the mountains, but I want you to want to leave the listeners with something from the aspect of coming across struggles in your life and what that means to you and how you've been able to conquer them. You gave the example earlier, with your family and the failed businesses and going through that, but something to help motivate them and whatever they're going through. And it could be something major like that, or it could be something minor, as they haven't been able to shoot an elk, and they're trying to push past these boundaries.
Yeah. I feel like it's all done for a wise purpose. Everything we experience, and we have a choice in life. When these tough times come up, when the mountains come up, with the winds or the waves approach us, we have a choice to make. it can be like, okay, we just got to get through this. And then that was just a hard time in life. And it could be just that. Or we can live intentionally. We can look at the storm. We can look at the mountain. We can analyze or kind of internalize what should I be learning from this? And I know that if we look at it that way, all of a sudden those moments become some of the most powerful learning and growth and perspective gaining moments that our life can ever be afforded. For me personally, I look at my journey, and those are the moments as a faith-based individual. Those are the moments where I become acquainted with my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ more than ever before. I love the story of Peter on the water, and he's afraid at first. And there's someone walking across the water, and it's like, well, is that a ghost? Is this like, what is this? Well, he hadn't experienced the Savior that way to that point. So there's a little bit of fear. So when we experience something new in life and we're confronted with this mountain, yeah, it's normal to feel a little bit of fear. But then he gets out of the boat, he keeps his focus there, and he starts walking. He sees the winds and the waves, and they distract him. And then he's saved. He cries out for help, and he's lifted back out of the water. But I love that in that moment, he's experiencing his Savior in a new and very powerful way. So if anyone's listening, they're going through, it doesn't matter if it's you're struggling on a hunt, or you've got family difficulties, marital relationships that are difficult. If you've got a failed business, or you're struggling with employment, or you're sick, like health and sickness can be one of the most hard things that you face in life. Hopefully you look at it as an opportunity to find a source of strength and to become acquainted with it more than you ever have before. And then all of a sudden there's this power that you are given in your life to gain perspective. And perspective for me affords us empathy. And then as you go throughout life, you have this most powerful position to look back and serve the person you once were. But it all comes down to a choice and intentionality with that choice to see it for what it is, the wise purpose that I believe God is trying to teach us in it all. And that can come in so many aspects of life, but that's what I've learned through it. I don't want to let those moments in life pass me by as just hard experiences. I want to gain as much from them as possible. So like I shared this morning out on the mountain, like, God, give me these mountains. Give me these challenges, because I know what that will afford me if I approach it the right way.
Yeah. When you were saying that, when you're climbing up that mountain today, it hit me in so many different ways of just thinking about challenges, big, small, whatever, and thinking of the intentionality of those, and sometimes I at least I feel this way. Maybe it's right, maybe it's wrong, but that sometimes I don't know why God gives you certain challenges, and sometimes it's okay to not know that. Yeah. But to be able to, for me, it's to be able to take that, and how you're able to take that and move forward with it, and what you can learn from it and be able to apply from it, because you learn so much more from those hard times than you do the easy times in it.
Yeah.
And even if you take that and you apply that to business, of the easy times and things are going really well, there's a lot of mistakes that are getting made that are being covered up by things doing well. Then you have the hard times, you have to start, looking at these little things and, okay, maybe I need to make this more optimized or do whatever I need to do. And then once you start building back up, now you're more efficient. And again, you're ready to hit those waves when they come again better. And that's just an analogy that.
No, I love it. And I think, I'm still learning so much from the difficulties that we've gone through. Like it wasn't that, okay, this happened and now I've learned all that I need to know from that. I think that sometimes those just put us on a path, and we take steps that are helping us learn and grow. And then that path helps us continue to develop and to see as we mature, wow, there was so much to this, and I'm now able to apply it because I'm maturing, I'm growing. We had some storms hit our door, and we had to face those. And I've often found that those storms and those winds and those waves are just blowing us, pushing us in the right direction. And so, you take the step that's pushing you in, and then do all that you can. You know, we talk about mountains. We've talked about them a lot today. I believe that God moves mountains, but I think that he expects us to show up with the shovel and to do some work.
Yeah.
And then through that work, we learn and we grow and we're, you know, we can contribute. And I'd much rather, way more than achievement, I want to contribute in life, you know, and that's where growth and learning, and that's how we conquer more.
I love that. And I did lie by saying that was the last thing. I just, based on what you said there at the end, I have one more little thing I want to ask you. Okay. When, say you have these signs that are coming to you, you know, from God, and you're trying to analyze this of like, all right, are these winds, am I meant to be blown this direction, or am I meant to fight against them a little bit and work to, how are you looking at that? Is there maybe there's not an easy way to answer that question, but I know I've come across that, and I believe probably a lot of people have, of, all right, is something where in a direction in life, is this something that's worth moving in this new direction that I'm getting blown to, or am I just not working hard enough to continue down the path that's there? Yeah,
I think that's something that, you know, it develops over time, and it's not something that I'm an expert in, but I've learned to trust in God over time, and I've learned that the more I trust in him, the more I hear his voice in my life, or I feel his guidance in my life. And so when those waves come, you know, is this the adversary? Is this my negative thoughts? Is this me like not feeling adequate or is this a storm that is pushing me in a direction? Should I move with that storm? Should I face the storm like a buffalo and go through it? And am I supposed to learn just because, man, this was tough? Mm-hmm. And I always say, like, yeah, face the storm, go through the storm. You'll come out stronger than the cow, right? But I love that analogy. But for me in my life, like I said, it's nowhere near perfect, but I've learned to recognize that, hey, there's moments in life where I'm feeling prompted. I'm feeling kind of a still small voice within my head, within my heart, saying, do this, do that. And I've come to recognize more and more what God sounds like in my heart and in my mind, how he speaks to me. And so then I can trust more and more with the decisions that I'm making. I set out for a goal and I have this in mind. Well, what are the decisions that I need to make to stay on that? And I sometimes find myself going like this, but so directional steps are very important. The decisions we make today will lead to that goal. I just hope that in the end, my decisions, for the majority of them, I want to be decisions where I let God prevail, where I didn't limit him, where I truly like, okay, this feels like God. I'm willing to take the step. I'm willing to take the leap. The more I've found in my life that I have let God prevail in my life, the decisions I need to make, and trusting in that voice or that feeling or that prompting that I've had, it is almost always what was meant to be, and so much more than I could have ever expected by just trying to figure it out on my own.
Yeah. No, that was a great way to answer a difficult question. No, I think that was great. And Trevor, I appreciate you taking the time and talking to you. This has been awesome. I'm glad we decided to do it here this evening.
Me too.
And go through it. It was a great way to end the day. That's awesome. Well, like I said, thank you for coming on, and anybody that's listening, obviously mountainops.com, check anything out there. You're always welcome to reach out to me if you have any questions on anything specific, or any of their team members that they have that are willing to help you out, and when it comes to actual purchases there. But also check out ConquerCast, which is your podcast. You're 30 some episodes in at this point. And I really enjoyed being on it and getting to hear your purpose with that. Is there anything else you want to direct people to?
No, I love it. If you want to know more about the whole story and the entrepreneurial journey of how Mountain Ops was created and such, I do have a book on, that they can find by just looking up my name. It's the Conquer Code. And it talks about the core values of Mountain Ops, where we've been, where we're going, and kind of the things, the ups and downs, and how we've conquered in life. So that's one resource if you want to dive deeper into this story and what we're doing with Operation Conquer Hunger and such as well. But I appreciate this time. It's been incredible.
Yeah. Awesome, Trevor. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey guys, thanks so much for listening. If you enjoyed this conversation, share it with your buddies. Leave us a rating, a review, and subscribe. If you want to check out more content like this, there's plenty in the links below. We truly appreciate having you guys along with us.